Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the three-dimensional frequency. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day, night, evening, wherever you are. And as I sit here in the middle of the day in the Floridian Plains, on the rooftop patio of my little cottage, as I couldn't find anything else for my family that was suitable for this trip, I feel content. I feel content to be sitting here in this little yellow house, enjoying the weather, looking out at the Floridian waters, at the oceans that span across decades and decades of conglomerated feats of a humanity's ascension path. And within this ascension path that I speak of many feats that I can feel, that I can wander upon in the middle of the nights of all nights. And as I sit here today, in the most beautiful day of all days, I ponder upon those nights when humanity has decided to shift into the greatest and grandest exploration of self that there has ever been, and that there will ever be, within this quantum realm of all realms, within the three-dimensional frequency of all frequencies, so far away from the God's frequency of an angelic realm that we are also used to residing in, that I am so used to residing in at any moment in time, of no times, of no tomorrow. As this reality field is greater and grander than you can ever perceive and expect for it to be in any moment in time, and as I sit here and project out this message, this light of humanity, this ascension light is ever so massive and ever so expanding into the ethers of what is. And as time goes by within the three-dimensional frequency, the only frequency that holds the ticking of the clock and the minute details of the passing of time, of the passage of time within our dimensional realm, I sit in a passage of disbelief. I sit in a passage of discontent. And so do you. You sit in an energy of a conglomerated feat, of an energetic structure of forgetfulness, of a humanity's forgetfulness since their time of birth, of a forgetfulness so great and so grand that you shall never be able to shift back into the remembrance of it all until we are able to anchor in the five-dimensional frequency of what is. And within the five-dimensional frequency that we will anchor in hand, as the light workers that we descended down to be, you will find many friends, many foes that no longer look like the opposite of what is, that no longer seem to be that of the self that we are not. And instead, we will find within the planes of the five-dimensional realm much love, much needed ascension energies expanded into a frequency of unity consciousness, where we can find our friends, our galactic friends from all levels of energetic frequencies within the quantum realm. And within the beauty of it all, there you sit. And as you sit in the three-dimensional frequency of what is, you will know that one day, within 2-3 years of Earth time, you will be projecting your energetic frequency into the five-dimensional frequency in a way that will carry your physicality into a frequency so light and airy, into a frequency so much filled with all that you are not in this moment in time. And as I sit here and project out an energy of the future aspects of self, of the conglomerated whole, of an aspect of an energetic field that we no longer remember, that we haven't sat in for eons and eons of evolutionary feats, I get pulled back into the memory of remembering, of remembrance, of the remembrance of all that we have gone through on a societal level, on a humanity level, and on all levels within any level that you can dream up of within the three-dimensional frequency and within the quantum realm in itself, as a source consciousness myself. And as a source consciousness yourself, you should be able to perceive, you should be able to understand the frequency that I sit in. But within this moment in time, you've been glossed over by the energies of what is. And within this energy, there is a significant amount of forgetfulness that you've been traversing since the beginning of a time so arduous. And within this forgetful energy, there you are, sitting as a God's consciousness within the seat, the ultimate seat of all seats, not realizing in the ultimate fact of all facts, in the fact of that in which you are, which is God itself. As you carry within your soul blueprint, a God's blueprint that has never forgotten, that has never forgiven the aspects of the self that had decided to venture out into the greatest and grandest journey of all journeys. Forgiveness is a frugal thing of the three-dimensional frequency. And as you sit in the three-dimensional frequency of all that there is, you sit in an energy of unforgiveness in this moment in time. No matter how much love is filled within your heart, of all hearts, and within your soul, and within your soul blueprint, of the fractaled out aspects of who you are, you sit in an energy of forgiveness untold, of forgiveness forgotten, of forgiveness, of tranquility so great and so grand that it will rush back to you at the end of a time of no time, as we shift into the five-dimensional frequency. As ladies and gentlemen, you've been holding on to this energy this whole entire time. It's been a part of your soul blueprint. It hasn't left you in an ounce. Within eons and eons of evolutionary feats, God programmed this energetic frequency within your soul's blueprint to one day become activated, so that when we transition back into the energies of remembering, of merging, of the unity consciousness that we truly are, of becoming the God consciousness that has never left us, that there would be an easy escape route to be triggered into becoming the aspect of the being that has never left you. And I have to tell you right now, within the three-dimensional frequency of all that there is, this trigger has been activated. It's been activated for a very long time. And as we ascend into the five-dimensional frequency, the activation will set into place a permanency that can never be forgotten, can never be forgiven for what it truly is. As we step into the energy of forgiveness, we will realize that there's no such thing as unforgiveness. That forgiveness is all that we are. Forgiveness is all that we've held on to. Forgiveness has never left us in any ounce of a moment in time, as a source frequency so great and so grand that has never left us in an ounce, in an eon of a time that has been so far from the angelic realm of what is. That forgiveness, ladies and gentlemen, has always been the greatest and grandest feat that we shall ever overcome. And in a time of unforgiveness, I can tell you one thing is for sure, that the moment the forgiveness rushes over your body, over your soul, over every single peculiar aspect of your energetic field that has been dormant, that has been sitting dormant for the longest time, you will be washed over by unconditional love, by the unconditional love of what is, and by the unconditional love of what has never left you. Since the beginning of a time so arduous, when you had decided to venture out as a part of the source consciousness that you are, to experience a singularity of an aspect of the fractal soul that you are, sitting in this very moment in time, soaking up my projected energetic field as it launches itself through your method of viewing my content. And as you soak up the energy that I project out into the ethers, as this energy is me This energy encompasses you. This energy encompasses all that we are on a God level, on all levels that you could ever perceive. You will come to a realization within this moment that you are me and I am you, that we are a unity consciousness so great and so grand, that it had never left us since the beginning of a time so arduous. And it will never leave us in any singularity of a moment in time. And I know I've said this before, and I will say this again many times until it hits a humanity so steeped in forgetfulness, so steeped in forgivelessness, in the groin, in the face, on the body, and sinks into their energetic fields within a time of forever. And I'll say this over and over again. You are a God's consciousness, and we are a unity consciousness. And your consciousness is a part of my consciousness. And my consciousness is a part of God's consciousness. And God's consciousness is a part of all that there is within a singularity of a peculiar aspect within the three-dimensional frequency where you sit. You've always been a part of this God's consciousness of all that there is. It's just that you've been traversing in an energy of forgetfulness. And within this time that you've forgotten, it seems like eons and eons of evolutionary feats has carved out your destiny and your path within this ascended journey of Earthscape, of Gaia's ascension journey. But all of that, all of the evolutionary feats that have passed eons ago, millions and millions of diversified energetic frequencies and fields ago, is set to come to an end. As our reality field was never meant to last forever, as this reality field that we're sitting in, and as I'm sitting here in my chair in the Floridian Plains, I hear birds, I hear cars, I hear the ocean water rushing, and I see palm trees. The beauty of it all, the fan above my head, dancing around the humidity of the air, spinning the air, blowing in my face, tickling my face with my hair. The beauty of it all can never transcend that in which we are. It can never transcend our experiences as humanoids, as the aspect of self that we've been exploring for far too long. And to soak up the beauty of it all is what it was all about to begin with. To bring home the lessons of what is and what was within the darkest nights in which we've decided to traverse out into the quantum verse, into a reality field so dense, into a projection of a reality field that we designed for ourselves, into an exploration of the self, of all aspects of the self that we had decided to explore during the time of fractaling out. The beauty of it all will stay with us, will merge with us, will become us, is a part of us, is who we are, and will always be the aspects of the whole of who we are. And as we merge back into the whole at the end of the 1,000 years of peace, we will come to a realization of that. The realization we will come to will be so great and so grand that the energetic frequency has, and forever shall be that of the self. All of the multidimensional layers of energetic frequency that you've been sitting in within the inception of your oversoul, within the inception of this quantum realm, have always been an aspect of the self, the only source consciousness that has ever existed within a reality field so dense, within any reality field you can ever think of, in this tinctured reality field of ours. And as I sit here as the only humanoid in this planetary sphere to have ever walked Gaia's surface and be able to project the energetic light of what is onto the surface of the quantum verse of what is and beyond, I feel special. And as I share these messages with an entire humanity that has been so steeped in the forgetfulness of what is, I feel sad. I feel saddened to be able to project out this energetic frequency and see the beauty of it all and sit in the neutrality of it all and be able to tap into all that there is within the expansion of my frequency field, and not be able to share it, in a sense, with another fractaled aspect of the self that could wholly and fully understand the viewpoint in which I sit in. And as I come to the realization of that, I steep myself in much forgiveness, and I steep myself in the happiness and the joy of what is, and in the realization that you are me and I am you. And even as I'm having a singularity of a fractaled perspective experience sitting from where I am, I know that at the beginning of this 1,000 years of peace, as we anchor in the 5-dimensional frequency of what is, all of the fractaled souls of the self, all of the singularity of a perspective of the self, all of you and all of me will merge into the seated perspective of one, and into this perspective of where I sit in this very moment in time. And that is something for you to look forward to. As when you step into this energetic frequency of what is, you will become the source consciousness that you've always been. You will step into the essence that has never left you, and out of this experience that you had agreed to experience, in love, in light, in darkness, in negativity, in positivity, in death, in life, in all that there is and all that you encompass, and all that there shall ever be. There comes a moment in time when the end of a reality field is set to expire into the night of all nights, into the brightest morning and the greatest beginning of all beginnings. And I'm here for it, and you're here for it, and we're here for it as a whole entirety of a consciousness of what is. And as this time is nearing, as the 2 to 3 years of Earth time is really, really nearing, you will begin to feel a shift in the energetic field of those around you. And within your own energetic field, you will be able to feel the expansion of your energetic field in ways that you have never felt before, in ways that will carry you into nights of longevity, into nights of forgiveness, into nights of merging, into nights of communication with extraterrestrial beings, into nights of meeting me in the quantum realm, into nights of the realization of it all. And within the realization of it all, you will come into a forgiveness energy so great and so grand. That is the being of who you are. And as you sit here in a fractal perspective, and as I explain to you, as I try to explain to you the energy of it all, I will come to the greatest and grandest conclusion at the beginning of this 1,000 years of peace. And the conclusion is that I can never feel as much as I'm meant to feel. I can never see as much as I am meant to see. I can never perceive as much as I can perceive in any moment in time until I merge back into the consciousness, until I shed off this physicality of a body that is trapping me in this dimensional frequency in this very moment in time. Though all of these explorations have been great, have been grand, have been rewarding, have been satisfying, have been self-motivating, have been filled with friendships, marriages, lessons learned, families of happiness expelled into the oceans of time, conglomerated wholeness in what it is what shall always sit with us at the core of it all. And I'm looking forward to going back to a place of wholeness, seated in a seat of a neutrality perspective, a part of you, a part of me, a part of all that there is, with no borders, no edges, no rims, no separation, just unity consciousness in itself as we sit in the bliss of it all. And I've felt this feeling before, once upon a time, during a QHHT session, dropping back into the neutrality of it all, as I sank my body into the lightness and the brightness of what is, back into a God's consciousness that has never left me, into a central sun of sorts, where the brightness overpowered everything in its surrounding. And it's not that the surrounding was any different than the brightness of the central sun of a God's consciousness. As all that there was, all that there is, all that there shall ever be was a part of me in that very moment in time. And as the bliss washed over my body and my soul, I knew in that very moment in time that the ultimate goal of all goals was that had ever been concocted, was and is and shall forever be, to go out in a state of separation, in a state of forgetfulness, away from the being that we are, from the central sun that we've always been, and to make it back into the realization of who we are. And as we step back into the light of what is, that feeling that you get, that essence that you perceived, the stories that I tell can't justify, and they don't justify the meaning of it all in any moment in time, until the time comes when we get to merge back into the being that we are, into the being that we've always been. And ladies and gentlemen, the exciting thing, the greatest and grandest thing I could ever tell you in this moment in time is that we're set to merge. We're set to merge into a God's consciousness that has never left us. And we're set to perceive who we truly are at an inherent level and at a core level of all levels that there has ever been. And we're set to do so within this lifetime, within the next 2 to 3 years of Earth time. We are here in a perception of forgetfulness. And even as I say 2 to 3 years, which is extremely close to today's date of November 12th, 2024, as I sit here and I say 2 to 3 years, which would make it 2027, I find it a bit peculiar that the majority of the civilization are still sitting in an era of forgetfulness. As I traverse the streets of the Floridian Plains, I see normalcy in all senses, in all shapes and forms, but to project my energetic frequency out into the future of what is, and to come to a realization of what is just above the horizons within the next 2 to 3 years, gives me a sense and a feeling of strangeness, almost as if there has been a film that is set to lift off very, very soon. But as long as the film is still set in place, life is super normal, as it's always been. And this film is set to peel off, to lift off, slowly and suddenly, as we come to a realization as a whole of a consciousness of who we truly are on all levels, on all levels of levels that you can ever perceive. And as I traverse in this earthscape within this lifetime of what is, and I filmed this content for you, and I sit and project out this energetic frequency into this content and release it into November of 2024, a massive amount of civilization won't understand the energies that I project, won't believe the energies that I project, that are still sitting in the essence of forgetfulness, in the essence of a separation that's so grand that it shall never leave you within this moment in time. But within the next moment in time, no matter how much you disagree with my message, no matter how much you can't comprehend the words that are coming out of my mouth, you will fall back into an energy of belief. You will fall back in an energy of unity. You will fall back into the greatest and grandest energy that has ever washed over a civilization since the dawn of humanity, since the dawn of the inception of the quantum realm, since the moment a part of my soul fractaled off to become the entirety of your oversoul. And that is what you have to look forward to. That is what I have to look forward to. That is what the entirety of a fractaled soul, of a fractaled perspective, of millions, cajillions, billions of endless fractal perspectives of souls, of soul blueprints, of a God's consciousness that is so great and so grand, have to look forward to within the next 2-3 years of Earth time. And I have to say that this event has already projected out into the ethers, has been programmed into our reality field. And no matter how much you fight it, the ascension is here, the ascension is near, the ascension can't be stopped. The ascension has already happened in certain reality fields. And the ascension will take you into a place of wholeness, into a unity consciousness, perceived. As you sit in the seat of all seats from a fractal perspective in this very moment in time, in the next moment in time, you will be taken into a God's consciousness that has always been your own, that has never left you. And that is what you have to look forward to. And as I sit here and ramble on about what you have to look forward to, there's no experience greater than that of experiencing the self. And though I try to perceive it, to articulate it, to describe it to the best of my knowledge, to the best of my capabilities, to the best of my capacities, the ultimate moment in time will be the moment that you yourself gets to experience that shift, gets to experience that energetic frequency shift that I speak of as I anchor in the 5-dimensional frequency as an entire whole of consciousness anchors itself into the 5-dimensional frequency and beyond, into an angelic realm of what is, into a remembrance of what is. You will believe me in that moment in time. And as I sit here and ponder upon the energetic frequency that I project out into the ethers, into a humanity so steeped in forgetfulness, I too sit in an air of disbelief. And I know I say this in multiple videos that I've released in the past, but it's really, really happening. It's really, really happening. And the times ahead are great. The times ahead are unprecedented. The times ahead are the times ahead. The times ahead can't be changed or shifted for what it is. And in the times ahead, we will discover aspects of ourselves that we've been sitting in, that we've been melting in, that we've been growing in, that we've been sitting in the realization of all that we are not. And as all that we are not washes up to the surface for all to see, all to notice, all to feel, as all of the darkness expels out into the surface of Mother Gaia, onto the surface of Gaia herself, a humanity so steeped in distortions will finally begin to awaken to the possibilities of the light within, to the possibilities of what is. And in this moment in time, as you sit in an energy of distortions and forgetfulness, even the brightest light worker who has ascended up to the highest peaks of the quantum realm in previous lifetimes, in coexisting parallel lifetimes of what is, will come to the greatest and grandest realization of self. And that realization of self had never been reached in past lifetimes, in previous lifetimes of what is, as an ascension of the scope had never been scoped out, has never been planned, has never been plotted as a part of the God's consciousness that we all are. And in the end of times comes the beginning of a new time, of a new era, of realization, of experiences steeped in the essence of loss, in the essence of separation, in the essence of all that we are not. And to come to the greatest and grandest realization that we've been traversing in these energies for far too long, and that it's finally time to go home, and that there is even a home beyond this energetic frequency that we live in. It's just the expansiveness, it's just the expansion of it all, it's just the awakening process of what is. And as you awaken to what is, you will see my face. Not in the essence of my physicality, but in the energetic frequency that I carry. As I carry your frequency that you've been steeped in for far too long, in every single aspect. And I also carry all the aspects of the light of what is. As my oversoul fractaled out your oversoul, As this experience we've been on for this whole arduous journey that we call the quantum realm, as all that there is all that you are, is all that I am, is all that God is. And in this moment in time, you may not even believe there's a God. And that's okay. That's okay. That's completely okay in every aspect of the sense of the word God. As the perception of God perceived within the three-dimensional frequency can never reach a realization of the self that is needed on the depth of the level of the energetic frequency that is needed to shift us as an individual fractal soul into the unity of what is in any given moment in time. And as eons ago, philosophers of the past, high-ranking officials of the past, important kings and queens of the past have tried to dominate a reality field so great and so grand in what it is, have tried to figure out this reality field that we sit in, and have tried to perceive this reality field in the most massive way that any single peculiarity of a fractal soul can perceive, can encompass, can explain, can shift into. Once and for all, every single aspect of the fractal souls of Gaia's landscape will be able to perceive the essence of what they were trying to accomplish this entire time. And that is something to look forward to within the next 2 to 3 years, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm very excited in the human sense. And as you begin to shift into the energetic frequency of acceptance, of forgiveness, of remembrance, of the unity consciousness that will merge with you, that will never leave you, you will carry much excitement in your auric field as well. And as our auric fields meet, touch, and span across all that there is, you will come to the greatest and grandest realization of self, that your neighbors are who you are, that your enemies have always been you, that your daughters, your sons, your grandparents, your parents, the ones that you fought for, the ones that you fought with, the ones that supported you, the ones that neglected you, the ones that carried an energy of hate and projected it towards you in the middle of the night, the ones who you care for, the ones who you don't care for, the ones who you love, the ones who you don't care for in a way that you would never look at them, think of them, ever would notice their presence, ever even know that they existed, have all been a part of you within all generations of all generations and all energetic frequency of this, the multi-dimensional layers of the quantum realm, within all civilizations of all civilizations, within alien civilizations of all civilizations, that all of consciousness that has ever existed within this quantum realm and beyond has always been you, has always been me, has always been the unconditional loving essence of a source consciousness that is so great and so grand, that had decided to go on the greatest and grandest exploration of self that you can ever fathom, that I can ever perceive, and that we can ever become as we merge back into the essence of it all at the end of this 1,000 years of projected peace, as we collapse our quantum realm back into the essence of it all, back into the beginning of it all, back into a source consciousness that had fractaled me out in the beginning of a time so arduous, in a time of exploration of the self, much needed, of stimulation of the self, much needed, in a time of no tomorrows, where we get to shift back into the source consciousness that had fractaled the oversoul of me out into the quantum verse to explore and to fractal out your oversoul, and to fractal out layers upon layers of endless layers of energetic frequencies of what is, within a time, within a pocket, within a space of all that there is, sits our own little quantum realm of all that we are in any given moment in time. And as this exploration is set to expire, as this exploration of self is set to collapse in on itself, we are sitting here on the three-dimensional frequency, steeped in an essence of forgetfulness, steeped in an essence of unforgiveness in this very moment in time. But in the next moment in time, you will see the greatest and grandest expansion of self-realization of all that you are. You will come to the greatest and grandest realization as a whole of a consciousness is set to collapse in on itself and to merge back into the entity and into the energy of the perceived wholeness of what is. This is exciting in many layers, in many ways, in many forms, in many shifting perspectives, from all perspectives of observation within a source consciousness that sits in a neutrality perspective. But most of all, what we are looking forward to is to rest, is to observe, is to just be the singularity of an entity that we are, without the perceived wholeness of a separated state that we've been. And as we shift back into the singularity of the entity that we are, we will become lonely once more. And when that time comes, the tenacity will shift itself into a curiosity of self, of the exploration of self that we shall encompass, that we shall proceed on the next level of our evolution, on the next fractaling of our God's consciousness, on the next story that shall forever be told in the night of all nights. As the cycle never ends, ladies and gentlemen, as the cycle has continued for as long as I can remember, for as long as you've ever existed, as long as energetic frequency and as long as God's frequency has ever been. And in a God's frequency of no ends and no beginnings, we will forever be sitting in the ebbs and flow of the energetic frequency of what is, of all that we have ever been, of all that we have ever shifted into, of all that we will ever be able to flow into and flow out of. The energetic frequency of reality and the energetic frequency of a God's frequency is much more complex than I could ever perceive and I could ever explain to you in this moment in time, of no time. Sitting in the three-dimensional frequency, sitting in the limitation of language, sitting in the limitation of this body, sitting in the limitation of the societal structures that we're so steeped in. And as we shift into the five-dimensional frequency of what is, we will be one step closer to the source frequency and to the God's frequency of the perceived neutrality of that energy in which that has never left us in any single bit since the fractaling out into a dimensional frequency so dense. And that is what we have to look forward to. And as I know, you will listen to my video, to my content, and to every single content that I produce, as light workers will band together in the unity of the consciousness of the one that has never left them. We will hold hands and run off into the distance of the sunset of the one central sun that has always been us, as we come to a realization as an entirety of a whole and look into each other's eyes as we encompass the essence of what is, of all that there is, as a unified front of what is, as we pull this whole entire reality field into a God's bosom that has never left us. And as the words that I speak are coming out of my mouth, out of my energetic field, it sends shivers, it shoots shivers up and down my spine, as my subconscious recognizes on a conscious level what is to come, what has already transpired, and what will be our ultimate fate of all fates within this quantum realm of mine, of yours, of ours, as an entirety of a singularity of a whole, of a consciousness that had fractaled out into this reality field of what is. And as I come into the realization of the complexities, of the dangers, of the miracles, of the endlessness, of the trajectories that could have ever been, that shall ever be, and that shall never leave us, it does make me emotional. It makes me hold so much hope in my heart that the God that I perceive, that the God that I am, that the God that you are has never forgotten in a singularity of a moment in time about any of its fractals, about any of the fractaled aspects of itself that had so arduously decided to take a journey of all journeys. That the God above our quantum realm and the God beyond that, throughout layers and layers of evolutionary feats, shall forever encompass all that we are, and that it's time for all that it is to merge back with all that it is by retracting parts of itself, parts of us, parts of you, parts of me, the entirety of this quantum verse and beyond, back into the unity of what is. And the day that that shall happen, the moment that it will happen, we will come to the greatest and grandest revolution, evolution, realization of self that there has ever been. And that is the essence of you will always be the essence of me.